I'm in the UK, southwest UK near Bristol. My name's Louis. Here's the dogs. Can you see them? Oh, one of them anyway. That's Ella. Ella is 8, I think. So, let me just get past this person. I'm gonna talk to you about something. So basically, I've got half an hour to kill before I fit my engine on my Volkswagen split screen camper. And the hot topic at the moment on my channel is Priscilla Presley, Elvis Presley, their breakup, the book Child Bride, and I'm trying to get my subscribers and new fans and existing fans to comment on the relationship between them and everything that went on leading up to the marriage, the divorce, and then after Elvis passed away. And obviously a big thing I'm talking about is the hate that is aimed at Priscilla. Priscilla gets an insanely massive amount of hate. We're talking every other message I'm getting is people hating on Priscilla. I think people are so passionate and angry and upset that they really want to vent how they feel and probably how they've felt for years and years. Now, I'm not a Priscilla hater, so I'm trying to get a fair, unbiased view from the fans, from subscribers, why they're so upset with her. And they've given me the reasons. They believe the book The Child Bride, that meeting Elvis was all pre-planned and was always about fame and money. And the fact that Priscilla put herself across as being this sweet, innocent virgin and dressed in a certain way to get Elvis's attention in Germany so she could win him over and eventually, really, go by Child Bride, take advantage of him. That's one story. Then you've got the other story where they had a connection, they fell in love quickly, they really got on well, and it was just meant to be, and there was true love there, and they were best friends, and Elvis shared a side of himself that he could only share with her. He was obviously upset about the passing of his mother. He was in a strange land because he was doing his military service and he was in Germany. So he felt she was a shoulder to cry on. And also he could pour out about his career, his intentions for the future, being a film star, and a special close friendship was born. And that all came to a sudden stop when Priscilla had to stay in Germany whilst Elvis went back to his life in America and the Frank Sinatra special, Coming Home special, and making GI Blues and making some more albums for RCA Victor. I'm just going to put my arm down because it's aching. Anyway, so the story is either it was all a setup or it was a beautiful, perfect fairy tale romance. And the other part of the story is that once Elvis started making his movies, that he was very unfaithful with his co-stars, obviously Margaret, and that because of how he treated her, that he was angry, had a temper, and that he was controlling, and that he was unfaithful, that she was miserable and unhappy, and she was this victim stuck in Graceland waiting for Elvis, and that life was horrible. So there's that narrative, even though I don't completely agree that that narrative is correct. 1 second. Let's just Right, I'm just sorting the dog out. Sorry. Okay, really sorry about that. Are we the right way around? Now, part of the story is, the story we're told from Priscilla is that she was heartbroken and lonely and mistreated and a victim and unhappy, and she hated her life. But the truth is, there was a whole world that opened up for Priscilla when Elvis was away, and Priscilla had many friends. She also had affairs, and she had a very interesting life when Elvis was away. And sometimes Elvis would find out that things were going on, but he would forgive her. And I don't think this side of the story is told. I know Elvis was unfaithful and couldn't resist temptation from these beautiful starlets that were basically falling in love with him, and he was a softie, and he would fall in love back because they were so beautiful, and they would win him over. But this was also happening with Priscilla. Priscilla was falling for men and fancied men and had created another life for herself. So they both had joint lives, separate from each other, that were being naughty, the pair of them. Now, what would you do? This is what I say in this particular live. What would you do? You're Priscilla Presley. You're with Elvis Presley, the most famous man in the world. He's leaving you in Memphis or in one of the other homes, because I think they had 3 homes. And you think it's pretty sure that he's being unfaithful. Let me just give my arm a rest. So he's being unfaithful, yeah? And she's seeing all these front page things on the newspapers, on the magazines, that Elvis may be married, or maybe getting married, getting engaged to other people. And the reporters are all reporting Elvis's so-called love life. And Priscilla's reading this at home in one of Elvis's homes. Now, there's not much she could do other than wait for his phone calls or wait for him to come home. Now, I ask you as subscribers, what would you do? If you were Priscilla Presley, would you want out? Would you start planning a divorce? Would you be unfaithful? Would you have affairs with other people that you came into contact with? For example, a dance instructor or the karate instructor? Or would you stay faithful and loyal and hope that Elvis would grow out of the fact that he liked to be unfaithful when he was away and he had this double life? What would you do? Seriously? Let me just change my arm again. So it's 1960, or during the 60s, and you're back there in that generation. Many of you grew up in the 60s and 70s. If you're a woman, please tell me, what would you have done? Would you have been faithful to Elvis? Would you have waited for Elvis? Would you have accepted that it was okay for him to have affairs as long as you were the most important one and you were the one that he was married to? You were the one that Elvis came home to. This is the big question I'm asking. Because I think in the 60s, even though I don't agree with it, it was quite common that the man had affairs, but the important woman was at home with the kids, looking after the house. Is this right? Am I correct? You tell me, guys. Was it the norm in the 50s and 60s and 70s to stay home while your husband played away, led a double life, but he paid all the bills and you didn't have to work? Please tell me if this is the case. Let me just change my arms. It's a very difficult one. So now I'm going to switch over to the men. Let me just put... Now, if you were a man in the 50s, 60s and 70s, and you were super handsome and you were talented, and you were doing concert tours or you were off making movies, and you had thousands of women throwing themselves at you, gorgeous, beautiful, irresistible women, and it was there on a plate for you every night, and you're in your 30s, late 20s, 30s, would you be unfaithful? Can you put your hand on your heart? This is for the men, and this is for the men watching this live. Would you be faithful? Would you be unfaithful, sorry? Would you be unfaithful with the drop-dead gorgeous woman making advances towards you? Bearing in mind, all your friends around you are also being unfaithful. Imagine if Anne Margaret was coming on to you. This amazingly talented, ambitious, super career-minded woman that was drop-dead gorgeous with a beautiful figure and very fit, with a funny, amazing personality that really drew you in like a magnet, and she was coming on to you. Could you resist that? I'm asking this to the men out there. The men out there now in their 60s, 70s and 80s who grew up through that generation. Please answer, could you have been faithful? Now this is the dilemma, because people want to hate on Priscilla because she was unfaithful and she was after Elvis's money and she paid herself a high salary for running Gracelands. She's told people about things that upset her in the relationship. And people want to hate on Elvis because Priscilla was so young, or because he was unfaithful to Priscilla and poor Priscilla was left at home whilst Elvis cheated. So there's lots of different reasons to hate Elvis, to hate Priscilla. And we can all, at home, on our phones, on our TVs, we can all hate on Priscilla and Elvis. Or we can pour out love and affection. We can be a Priscilla fan and show gratitude for her helping to keep Elvis's legacy going, her and many, many, many others, and helping to open Graceland. And we can love Elvis, the way he changed the world with his amazing personality and his extreme generosity and his kindness to people and charities, and the music that impacted the world, that literally changed the world, and his movies, even though some of them, many of them were cheesy, we still loved those movies, didn't we? We loved them. And people say, oh, the movies were terrible, and Elvis was so upset that he was never able to make the movies that he dreamed of making, the James Dean type, Marlon Brando type movies. But we still did love those movies. Do you admit that, guys? As cheesy as they were, we loved them because we got to see our idol Elvis Presley close up, looking young and fit and handsome in his beautiful voice. And when he sung those songs in those movies, doesn't matter how cheesy and corny they were beautiful songs. His voice was gorgeous. Sorry about that, hang on. My wife's trying to ring me. So I gotta go. Please let me know what you would have done if you were in Priscilla's shoes, if you were in Elvis's shoes. Would you have been unfaithful, whether you were female or male? Could you have resisted the temptation? Let's be really open and honest about this. Let's really say it as it is. Because I don't think hating on Priscilla and hating on Elvis is the answer. I also completely understand that we can forgive them both for all their mistakes, and they both made many mistakes. Thanks guys, all the best to you, have a great day.